right, we are recording. We are looking at a quadratic function in standard form is written as y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a does not equal 0. Every quadratic function has a U-shaped graph called a parabola. The vertex of a parabola is the lowest point of a parabola that opens, or the highest point of a parabola that opens down. The axis of symmetry of a parabola is the vertical line passing through the vertex. Standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we did vertex form all last week. Now we're looking at standard form. The vertex has a coordinate of negative b over 2a. To find the axis of symmetry, it's negative b over 2a. So once we find the axis of symmetry, we'll plug it in to find the vertex. Okay, so we're going to start right here with a. And we're going to find these things in order to graph it. We're going to find the axis of symmetry. We're going to find the vertex. And we're going to find the y-intercept. Yep. Axis of symmetry, vertex, and y-intercept. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry, we use the formula negative b over 2a. So what is my b for this equation? If it's written as ax squared plus bx plus c, negative 4 is my b. So I'm going to go minus a negative 4. This is my b.
Can we just put 4?
You can, yeah, but we're going to lose people. So. You got to put minus a negative 4. Okay. All over 2 times what's a? What's in front of x squared? 1. Okay, so a negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 1 is 2. What's 2 divided by 4? 2. So axis of symmetry is x equals 2. Now that we have the axis of symmetry, to find the vertex, I plug the axis of symmetry in. Okay? So I'm going to go, instead of x squared, or instead of x, I'm going to put 2. See how I left parentheses? I rewrote this, but I put the parentheses for where I'm going to put my number. Now I'm going to put the number 2 here. Okay? You could put this all in your calculator at once. You could go 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 3. Or you can do each part out. 2 squared is 4. Am I going too fast?
A little bit.
Okay.
Can we just go back?
Yep.
To, like, where we got 4 over 2 times 2.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
That's my axis of symmetry. Now I'm going to take this number right here, and I'm going to plug it in wherever I see x. So we get 2 squared.
who's that?
Yep.
Okay.
2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 3. Instead of an x, I put a 2. Is that better?
Yep.
So I get 4 minus 8 plus 3. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. So my vertex is 2, negative 1. I suggest not doing what I just did. I suggest picking up your calculator, putting this all in at once, and coming up with negative 1. Because you're going to make mistakes otherwise, right? Not for that part. I would like this. This is as much work as you need to show. This down here you do not. I actually think more people make mistakes that way. Mm-hmm. Plus 3. And then negative 4 plus 3 and negative 1. So, let's talk about the y-intercept. So this is the y-axis down here, correct? Yeah. Make sure you grab both those. Okay. Shh. Abby, you with me? Okay. So, now that we have the vertex and the axis of symmetry, we're going to figure out what the y-intercept is. Okay? The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay? What is the x value if we're looking at the y-axis? Jenna.
No.
0.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So we're gonna plug in 0. 0 squared minus 4 times 0 plus 3. What's my answer gonna be?
I don't know. 0,
0 squared is
0,
negative 4 times 0 is
0,
0 plus 3 is
3.
3. Oh, guess what? The y-intercept is always going to be this number at the end without an x by it.
Is it not really 3? Is it always going to be 0?
You're always going to plug in 0 to find it. It's this number. See this number? It's always going to be your c. Y-intercept equals c in
So it's
standard
always gonna
form.
be that number. Why did you say that?
I wanted you to know why.
Trying to prove it to you.
Okay, so now we're going to plot the vertex and the y-intercept, and we're going to try to make our parabola. Okay, you ready? So I'm going to move this up.
Do it x squared.
So first I'm just going to graph these two things. Y-intercept and the vertices. So the y-intercept is 3, so I just go 0, 3. There's my first point. My vertex is 2, negative 1. So I've got 2 points so far.
Oh.
Okay, I need it to make that U shape, correct? Okay, so this is my axis of symmetry, right? If I folded it along that orange line, see my axis of symmetry is x equals 2. If I fold along that orange line, it has to be the same on either side. Okay, so if I'm looking at this line, do you see that this point is 2 away? So it's got to be 2 the other direction. 2 away from the orange line. Now it's 2 away on the other side. Okay, and now we're going to make a U shape, and we're done.
Oh. Oh, that makes sense.
Okay, axis of symmetry. I fold it in half, it's symmetrical. Same on either side. We can. I mean, so Aaron asked about minimum or maximum. Would this be a minimum or a maximum? It'd be a minimum. Okay. So,
You have to write that?
I mean, you will eventually. For your homework, you will. For your homework, you will.
So you're saying for the next one, for B,
Okay.
the
So-
y-intercept would be negative.
Hold on. Abby's already moved on.
Okay.
So we want to go over here.
I'm just saying.
We're on this one. Now remember, we need 3 things. Axis of symmetry,
Vertex
vertex,
and y.
and the y-intercept.
We already know y.
So who else knows, before Abby says this out loud, hold on. Who else knows what the y-intercept is? You guys are good? What's the y-intercept then? Negative 5. Okay. So now I need to find the axis of symmetry, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the axis of symmetry is negative b over 2a. What's b in this case?
B is negative.
So it's minus a negative 8.
It'll
Don't.
just be 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Times 2 times what's a?
The 2.
Good. So I get 8.
8.
Oh, sorry.
8.
Okay, you do it yourself. Quietly in your head or write it on the paper. And then I'm just letting people catch up. Just give it a second. Okay. That packet. Okay. So a negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times negative 2 is negative. Yep. And 8 divided by negative 4 is? Okay, negative 2 is our axis of symmetry.
Yes. And now you go.
How do we find the vertex? We plug it in for the
X's.
axis. Okay. So I'm going to go negative 2 parentheses squared minus 8 parentheses minus 5. And what am I going to put right there?
Oh, what?
In all these spaces?
Oh, wait.
Negative 2. And what do I get? Put it all in your calculator at once. Nope. Negative 2 parentheses negative 2 squared minus 8 parentheses negative 2 minus 5. Three. So my vertex then is negative 2, 3. Okay, you ready to plot this on a graph? You guys need another second?
How did I do that wrong? I got negative 45.
That is a problem. You should not get negative 45. You guys got 3, right? Okay.
I got three.
Oh, Miss Murphy, can I go now?
I just typed it in right. I got three.
Minus 8 times negative. There should be a second negative. Don't square this.
No, it's not the phone.
Okay. Okay.
Come here.
So we should get 3, and then we should plot the points. We're going to go negative 2, up 3. There's my vertex. Negative 5. Shh. Okay. Remember, right here in orange, that's my axis of symmetry. So we're 2 away, so we want to go 2 on the other side, right?
So you count the line.
Yep.
So it always goes in the vertex, the line? Exactly.
Okay. Shh. You guys can't all yell things at once. It makes me insane. Okay.
What's that second number you can?
What one? The vertex? So I plugged in negative 2 to this equation and got 3. What, Abby?
Oh, see, I just suck at graphs.
Okay. Let's turn it over. Okay. Good. All right. I need you to be silent in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Silent llamas. Okay. What one of these we can answer the vertex, axis of symmetry, or y-intercept? Which one do you want to do first? So, all we did was turn the paper over. We're doing the exact same thing. Vertex first. Okay, so in order to do the vertex, guess what? We got to do the axis of symmetry first. So that's negative b over 2a. Okay, let's set that up. So it's minus a negative 12 over 2 times 3. Everybody with me so far?
No.
It's negative b over 2a.
Oh my god, it's still on.
Okay. A negative and a negative makes a? 2 times 3 is? 6 divided by 12 is? 2. X equals 2 is my axis of symmetry. Shh. You guys have to stop just yelling things out. Okay. Once I have my axis of symmetry, how do I find my vertex? I know my vertex is 2 something. How am I going to find what the y value is? You plug in all the x's. 3 times 2 squared minus 12 times 2 plus 40. And Abby, we don't put an extra squared on it. What do I get?
You need to set it.
Okay.
Set me up. So to find the vertex, you plug in the axis symmetry and then
Yes.
for x.
Yes. Yes. So Jenna summed it up one more time. She said to find the vertex, you have to take the axis of symmetry and plug it in for x. We get 28. Good. What is the y-intercept?
It is 40.
Yes. It's always the c value, right? Okay. What is the domain for this? Who knows what domain means? Anybody remember from Algebra 1? She was great, whatever. The domain is all the what values? X values. This can be any, so it's all real. Any of the x values. The range. The range works out really well because the vertex tells us what it can be. Is 228 the maximum or the minimum for it? Minimum, right? Because it looks like this because it's a positive. So y would have to be greater than or equal to 28. Alligator eats the y if it's a maximum. Alligator eats the number if it's a minimum. Alligator eats the y if it's a maximum. Alligator will eat the number if it's a minimum. Okay. All right. Let's do.
Have to do that?
Yeah.
What? Like, I just don't get it. Like,
So,
the domain, you just put all real?
yep, any number will work. Any number you can put in an answer. I can put any number in here for x and it'll come up with a y. But the only y's you will get are numbers that are bigger than 28. Because on my graph right here, this is 228, right? And see how all the y values are pointed upwards? They're all bigger than 28. But it just keeps getting wider and wider, so it'll cover any x value. Okay. Everybody went, I don't understand what you're saying. Okay. We'll practice more with domain and range. All right. Instead of doing these last 3 problems, I think we should do one from your homework and then let you do your homework. Yeah. It looks like a lot. It's only 8 problems.
Oh, wow.
It's only 8 problems. Okay. And it'll go pretty fast. So number 1, it looks different, so I think we should probably do number 1.
I think so.
And the rest look like problems you've already had. Okay. So, what's the A, B, and C here? What's A? 3. What's B? Is there a B? 0. What's C? 0. Because nothing, remember it's y equals ax squared plus bx plus c?
Yeah.
Okay. So, remember to find the axis of symmetry. It's negative b over 2a. Well, I know b is 0, right? So the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. Done. Vertex. If I plug in 0, 0 squared is? 0 times 3 is? So 0, 0. We'll come back to x-intercept. Y-intercept. Remember I always told you the y-intercept is the c? What is the c value? Good. Is this going to be a maximum or a minimum?
It's gonna be
Remember, look at A. A is positive, so it's pointing up, so it's going to be a minimum, right? Okay, what's the value? It's going to be 0. Okay. The value of the max or minimum. I know, it should be value of max min.
Is the x-intercept 3?
How do we know?
Okay, so let's plot this first before we talk about the x-intercept. So if we plot this, we have 0, 0, right? That's also my y-intercept. Okay, that's also my axis of symmetry. That's my vertex. Okay, so let's just do one more. What's 1 squared? 1. What's 1 times 3?
3.
Okay, so it's the same on either side. Okay. So I just plugged in 1 for here, so I just made myself a little table. Okay, and so I plugged in -1, 0, and 1, so I get 3, 3, and 0. Okay. So it only has an x-intercept at 0. Where it crosses the x-axis is just 0. The domain is all real numbers. What's the range? Yep, y.
Or y is
Is greater than or equal to 0.
Yes. Should we do one more? Okay, let's look through. Let's look at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one's confusing because the y-intercept in it is the same, so I had to plug in numbers to find it. Most of them aren't like that. That's why I went over it quickly. I just plugged in a number that was on either side of the axis of symmetry. You want to do 7? Okay, let's do 7. Okay, so let's start with this. What's A? So remember, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. So what is A value? 1. What's the B? Nope.
Nope, it's 0.
What's C?
Because -9 is the C.
Yeah, because there's no x, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. So I think the y-intercept is the easiest one to do, right? Because it's always the C value, right? So the y-intercept is -9. Okay. Axis of symmetry, that's the whole -b over 2a. So b is 0. So -0 over 2 times 1 is still 0. So far, so good? Okay, vertex, we're going to go 0 squared minus 9. What's my vertex? My y vertex going to be? 0 minus 9 is -9. Again, just plug that into your calculator. 0 squared minus 9. You'll come up with -9. Okay. Is this a maximum or a minimum? Look at the A value. Is it positive? If it's positive, it is a?
Minimum.
Good.
Yeah.
And the minimum is always the y value of your vertex. So -9 is my minimum. That's as far down as I can go. Okay? Let's plot this on my graph. So my vertex is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Unfortunately, my y-intercept is the same. So what am I'm going to do it just like I did for my first one. I've got 0, -9. What's a number that's bigger than 0 that's very easy to plug into this equation? 1. So I go x squared minus 9. I'm going to go 1 squared minus 9. What's 1 times 1? I'm just plugging in numbers on either side of the axis of symmetry. Okay, what's 1 squared? 1. What's 1 minus 9? -8. And so that's going to be the same for -1 as well. So we're just right here. That's my graph. So far, so good?
Yeah, that was a little confusing.
With the table?
Yeah, that was,
Okay. You won't have to see, if we look at 8, you're going to have to do the similar thing for it. But like 6 and 5 and 4, they have a different y-intercept, so it's going to be easier. Okay? So, I've graphed it. My domain is all real. My range is y is greater than or equal to -9. Now I need to find my x-intercepts. It's where it goes over, it's where 0, x is 0, okay? Where y is 0. So I've got to figure out what x is when y is 0. I don't know a great way, do you know a better way of showing this besides factoring? Because we're not supposed to factor yet, Ms. Huff, so. I mean, we can plug in numbers. You could go 2 and -2 and 3 and -3, and guess what? It's 3 and -3. That's where it will cross. I mean, we're gonna talk to you next week about how to do it easier. So if you leave the x-intercept, if you don't know those, we'll go over how to do them. So if you skip that one on all of these, I'm fine with that. Okay, so you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. 6 is just like 8. 8 is just like 7. 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2 are just like what we did in the notes. Okay? So there were 8, and now there's only 6 problems you have to do. Okay? All right. So do that for homework.